Clark Lea knows how to shock Lenora Sellers and South Carolina.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Shout out to the everydayers. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, this is an action-packed show because this game, I think, carries a lot of importance for a lot of reasons for both teams. Because I think for South Carolina, it's a game where they need to kind of get back on the right track. They beat Virginia Tech. They pulled away from them late, but it's a game that even they would probably admit that it wasn't the greatest against South Carolina State. For a lot of reasons, that game was just ugly, but it is an FCS opponent. There was a huge weather delay. There's a lot happening there, but I know South Carolina, if they want a chance to go to the playoff, they've got to get a little bit more consistent, and they've got to start playing at that high level. This would be a perfect game to launch that. For Vanderbilt, it's snapping the streak. That's the most important thing. And just continuing that stellar play that carried you through the Virginia Tech game, and obviously, against FCS Charleston Southern at the beginning. So both teams have played Virginia Tech, and both teams have played FCS opponents. So there is a similar body of work there. But again, this game carries a lot of significance in that. You've got two great quarterbacks going against each other. Lenora Sellers, arguably the best in the country. Nobody's denying that. I'm not denying that either, even though you guys think I am. He is the best in the country, along with Garrett Nussmeier and along with some other guys. I think there's some, there's an upper echelon of quarterbacks, and Lenora Sellers is definitely in that. And Diego Pavia is creeping up that list a little bit. He's nipping at the heels of some of the upper echelon of quarterbacks. He's played extremely well this season. He's improved a lot of the things that he wants to improve. So there's that whole factor, and there's a lot happening within this game. But I'm going to talk about don't kick to Vakari Swain. Sorry. As a punt returner, he's dangerous. He's returned 3 in 2 games. That guy's a weapon back there. We're going to tell you how special teams can really factor into a game and how it's factored into South Carolina, because they were struggling a little bit against Virginia Tech. He returns a punt, gets some momentum, and then they just roll after that. So he's a guy that can kind of light up the momentum. He can light that spark for South Carolina if you allow him to. We're going to do the, Clark Lea came out in his press conference and said, hey, our mentality is we're going to focus inward. We're going to control what we can control, and we're going to worry about ourselves first. And I want to talk about that mentality as, how it's effective. What are the holes in it? Like what is it about that mentality that's good? But first, Clark Lea had a lot to say about Lenora Sellers, a lot of praise, a lot of respect there, as he should. And I think Lenora Sellers is as talented as anybody in the country. I would put him up against a lot of quarterbacks in the country. My point on my last episode was I don't think it's him. I think the scheme, I think they're trying to figure out schematically what they want to do with him. I think it just seems like they're not sure, because they're not sure, and there's a lack of rhythm there because of that. And I think it's given the perception that South Carolina is not as good as they actually are, because they've got some weapons. Now, Clark Lea has acknowledged the challenge of defending Lenora Sellers, but he has also laid out a plan. And I think that plan was tried out on Kyron Jones, even though Kyron Jones is a similar style of quarterback, similar traits. Obviously, Lenora Sellers is way better than Kyron Jones. Not comparing the two statistically, not comparing the two with ability, but the way they play the game is very similar in what they want to do. Lenora Sellers does it better than Kyron Drones. But Kyron Drones is a good warm-up exercise for Lenora Sellers and how you defend that style of quarterback. Because Lenora Sellers is an elite runner, has a powerful arm, has great accuracy, and can throw on a rhythm. But like 99% of quarterbacks out there, you get him off rhythm and, he's going to struggle. You get him off his spot and you get him running, he's going to struggle, right? And I think for Vanderbilt, they've got to find ways to do that. They've got to find ways to defend against him running. They got to find ways to get him off his rhythm. They've got to find ways to get hits on him. All right. Hits affect quarterbacks. Hits affects quarterbacks. We know that. And unless you're crazy, like there's a handful of quarterbacks out there that are crazy enough to where hits actually juice them up. Like Diego Pavia is in that category of hits just fire him up. So with Lenora Sellers, going back to that, Clark Lea knows how to defend him. Now that the key is to have that plan in place and then go out there and execute it, right? Because I think if you can do the things that he knows how to do, I think in last year's game, I think early on they had a good game plan against Lenora Sellers early on, and it was a tight game early on. But I think once you kind of get into the depth that Vandy had last year, I think South Carolina and Coach Loggins did a great job of adjusting to that game plan and being able to open things up in other avenues to allow Lenora Sellers to then do his thing and allow that train to kind of just get rolling a little bit. And it just became unstoppable and it became an avalanche. And that's how we got to a 28-7 thrashing of Vanderbilt last year. So Clark Lea knows that he can't let Lenora Sellers get in a rhythm. In order to do that, you have to eliminate the space. You have to make him throw into tight windows. You have to make him throw under duress. You have to force him laterally. Like if you make him run laterally, make him run backwards to try to get the edge, and don't let him get the edge. Hits, right? He throws, you're hitting him. He's on the ground. The more he has to pick himself up, I think the better your chances. Now, Lenora Sellers is not like every other quarterback where you get a few hits on him and he gets jittery. He's not like that, but he's not immune to it. But it's going to take more hits than it did. It's going to take way more hits than it did for Kyron Drones to get his happy feet. But I think for Clark Lea, he knows that he's got to keep South Carolina out of third and short. And they've got to be tough on the run. Now, the stats, and we talked about it on the squad show, the stats that they have in rushing offense, they're ranked like the 104th. So the run game is not there right now, and they can't find it. And I think it's a lot. Has nothing to do with talent. I just think honestly, I think this one's on coaching. Like I think with the way Mike Shula is trying to just kind of find his way, it just seems like they just don't really have that. So if Vanderbilt can stop the run, force South Carolina to be one-dimensional, they have to execute that game plan. They have to pressure Sellers. They have to get hands in his face. They have to knock him down, make him pick himself back up. If he runs laterally, do not let him get the corner, and do not let him get any sort of avenue to run through the center of the defense. And for all things in the world, do not let him get going on quarterback design runs, which I don't know how much they like to do that with him, but they do some of that. And he is very dangerous with that. So you can't let him get ahead of steam. You can't let him get clear run lanes, because if he can gash you, that's not good. So muddled pocket, knock him down, get in his face, disrupt his timing, jam his receivers, be physical at the point of attack with the receivers, throw off the timing on quick game, make life miserable for the skill players. Find a way to lock down Nick Harbor. That's going to be hard to do, but you got to find a way to shut him down. Like, those are the keys to stopping this South Carolina offense, because at some point they will figure it out. I said they have to, and they haven't quite yet, but at some point they will. They always do. Don't let that be week 3 of the season. Make them go back to the drawing board. Make them try to figure it out next week. But just harass Lenora Sellers, make his life in the pocket miserable. You take the crowd out of it. Sandstorm just becomes another music on the old sound system. Those are the things you have to do. So knowing all of that, now the challenge is execute it, right? That is the challenge. Execute that plan. You have a plan. You have a great plan. Clark Lea knows how to get him off the spot. He knows how to play these type of quarterbacks. He knows how to play this type of system. Now they just got to go out and do it. He had a good game plan last year against Darryl Logan's system. He had a great game plan early on. He just lost control of it. And South Carolina did a great job of taking over that game. He can't allow that to happen. As they make adjustments, he's got to make adjustments, and it's just got to be this big chess match. And if it is, it's going to be quite the entertaining game. So Lenora Sellers just cannot get comfortable. That's the thing. And that's going to be tough to do at Willie B. That really is. It's going to be tough to do. But if they can do it, they will come out of there with a victory. They'll be 3-0 with a legitimate shot, because you got Georgia State and Utah State to be 5-0 going into Bama. Imagine that. But the game plan is this. It's very, very simple. The challenge of defending Lenora Sellers is this. Do not let him get running. Do not let him throw on rhythm, and make sure he picks himself off the ground. Those are the 3 key points in defending Lenora Sellers. Do not allow him to get running. Make him get off rhythm, whether you knock his receivers off rhythm or you got to disrupt his rhythm somehow. Don't make him comfortable, and make him pick himself up off the ground as many times as you can. Whether it's a sack, a hurry, a knockdown, whatever it is, make him pick himself up off the ground. If you do those 3 things, I think you will be successful. But the challenge is this: execute, 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 right? So it becomes a mentality of, okay, we've got this challenge, but we really got to focus inward to be able to execute that. How do you execute it? You focus on yourself. I'll talk more about that mentality and how it looks in a football setting next. Hey, but I want to tell you about Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August of 2025, and maybe even as of this point in September. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention on how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling and intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. So, like your players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move or be moved. All right. Who loves DoorDash? I love DoorDash. Can you tell? Anyway, it's almost the weekend, man. It's time to take a look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered. Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Vanderbilt against Virginia Tech, I'm going to say Trey Richardson delivered in a big way. And it was late in the third quarter. You've just taken the lead, 23-20 after being down 10 at halftime. Diego Pavia delivers an absolute strike, and you make a diving catch over top of the pylon to proverbially what was considered now the nail in the coffin. At the time, it wasn't quite that, because we didn't know how Virginia Tech was going to respond. But it ended up being the backbreaker for Virginia Tech, and it was all she wrote after that. So when the pressure was on, man, Trey Richardson came through. Massive catches. The stat line is nothing to write home about, but the impact of 2 of his 3 catches was enormous. And he came through with no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Trey Richardson is on a streak. He did it in week 1 as well. And just like Trey Richardson delivered for Vandy, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays as well. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season. You could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period is open through November 18th. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Thank you to you everydayers. Thank you for the visitors. All you South Carolina fans, thank you for stopping by. All right. This is going to be a fun game. All right. No matter what happens, no matter if it turns into 17 in a row, if the streak stops at 16 and Vandy gets this one, which I did a crossover with Chris Marler. I predicted this. So I'm going to stick with that, not to spoil my end of the week pick here, but I'm going to stick with that pick just because I need to. I need to stand by my word, and I need to stand by what I've been saying all week. Now, we talked about Clark Lea knowing how to defend Lenora Sellers. I think he's going to have a great game plan for that. Him and Steve Gregory, the defensive coordinator, I think you're going to have a phenomenal plan on how to stop Lenora Sellers. I think it's seems very basic, but it's going to be tough to execute that because Lenora Sellers is very, very talented. All right. And to me, and I've said this every chance I get, I think he's the best quarterback in the country. And I think he's super talented. I think he does a lot of great things. And for everything that I've seen of him do, which is honestly not much, but the things that I've seen him where he's interacting with media and fans and things like that, he's a top-notch human as well. So I don't want to let that slip through the cracks because, I'm having fun, engaging in a little bit of trash talk, a little bit of banter here with this game because I think it's going to be fun. I think this game is going to be extremely fun. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard-nosed. And, to me, I think Vanderbilt has the edge because of their physicality, because of their toughness. Like it's a toughness that nobody has seen because it has been developing all this time. Like early in that game last year, it was an extremely physical game. It's just that South Carolina had more depth and they were able to take over. That's the only, I don't say that's the only reason. It's a pretty big reason, but that is one of the key reasons why they won. And Vanderbilt became focused on beating South Carolina instead of focusing on executing their game plan. So the focus this year and the focus this week, especially, as Clark Lea said in his press conference, the focus is on us. We have to take care of ourselves first. It doesn't matter what South Carolina does if we don't execute what we're supposed to do and communicate the way we're supposed to do, and we let the environment at Williams-Brice Stadium affect us, which it's one of the best environments, one of the best road environments, one of the most hostile road environments out there. If we let that affect us, we're screwed. And they've been playing Sandstorm all week. They've been doing the things to get ready and prepare for execution in those environments. And I think, like I've said before, and like I said previewing the season, Virginia Tech was a great warm-up and a great test to see how Vanderbilt would handle a hostile road environment. So the focus was twofold at Virginia Tech. And I think learning from that, I think Vanderbilt's going to take how that game went, and they're going to try to fix the things that plagued them in the first half because it was a tale of two halves, right? The first half, I think they were enamored. They got caught up in the environment. I think, Virginia Tech stormed down there and got 3 points. They were able to hold them out of the goal line, which is a win, but they did get points, which I think South Carolina is going to go down there and get points on the first drive, so you better be ready to respond to that. But the atmosphere is going to be like if South Carolina wins the toss, they're going to get the ball. They're going to rip it down the field. Like it's going to be probably 7-0 before Vanderbilt touches the ball. Like that's going to be the case. All right. So I think everybody needs to get ready for that. And if Vanderbilt gets the ball, if they go 3 and out and then South Carolina rips it down the field, that's going to be troublesome But I do think Vanderbilt can respond to that because they turned the ball over twice at Virginia Tech, and that crowd was whipped up in a frenzy in the first half. They responded. They kept doing what they were doing. They played with great physicality, and they eventually wore them down. And I think that's the mentality you have to take going into this game. You have to use that physicality to your advantage. You have to use that to make the environment friendly for you. Because if you can wear them down physically, you can see the energy of the stadium go down. Now, South Carolina is not Lane Stadium, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to bring that energy down. It's going to take more to bring that energy down. Because I think Virginia Tech fans they were already on the ledge of wanting to fire Brent Pry. So any bit of momentum would have sent them into a tailspin, and that's exactly what happened. So Vanderbilt's got to try to get South Carolina fans to that point. And they got to try to get the South Carolina team to that point to where they're reeling, hurting, and they don't want to play anymore. And up front, I think Vanderbilt finally has the offensive line to be able to do so. I think they finally have a physical enough offensive line to be able to grind them to a nub in the run game. Like, I think their physicality can overwhelm this defensive line. Now, if they get into a situation where they're drop back passing a lot, that's going to play right into South Carolina's hands. I think last year they tried a little bit too much to throw the ball down the field and to try to throw some passing concepts, mainly because Diego Pavia was beat up and banged up and couldn't run as effectively as he could. And they didn't really feel like they had much else because Cedric Alexander was banged up. They didn't really have a backup running back. They didn't really have many options. So they felt like they were one-dimensional coming into that game for the most part, and that played right into South Carolina's hand as well. I think a healthier version of Vanderbilt with a year two of this offense, like, this is where coaching takes over. You have Mike Shula, who's not, but none of this matters. It's a focus on us mentality. So how does that work? Well, you focus on your own execution, okay? You focus on what you have to do and how you want to set up the defenders, right? You have to focus and visualize what your job is and visualize yourself executing that job. To take it full circle, going back to the first segment, you have to visualize yourself defending Lenora Sellers, stopping him from making a big run, picking off one of his passes, sacking him, tackling him for a loss, hitting the running back in the backfield, jamming a receiver, all that kind of stuff. You have to visualize yourself doing that. And that's kind of the focus on us mentality. Everything's inward. Everything is about, hey, how can I communicate better across there? I can't worry about what's in the other uniform across the side of the ball. I just got to worry about, hey, he gives me this call. I've got to execute this call to the best of my ability and not let him across the ball do what he wants to do. I dictate this, not you. And that's the mentality they have to take. And that's a very effective mentality if done correctly. And they've shown that they can do that. I think they've been able to focus inward. I think that's what helped them against Virginia Tech. I think that allows them to not panic and worry about chasing the scoreboard and worrying about chasing the opponent. They worry about, we just want to win this play and then 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 switch sides and then win this play again and win that play again and win this play again. They want to focus singularly on plays, and that's a great mentality to have. It's a process-oriented mentality. And I'm sure a lot of great football teams have that. But it's just something that I think Vanderbilt needs to focus extra on because I think they can get wrapped up in chasing the scoreboard, chasing a result, chasing all that other stuff. So it's like a process-driven, process-oriented thing that Nick Saban talks about all the time. It's a real thing. It's not coach speak. It's a real thing that people must try to achieve. So this game, like I said, is going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. But talking about punt returners, dangerous, man. If you have a good one, it's dangerous. And this game features two great ones. So we're going to talk about special teams. Yeah, that's right, special teams next. But first, it's time to talk about FanDuel, man. It's exciting, dude. The NFL season is here. College football is in week 3. NFL season is about to kick off week 2. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't miss offers. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So I love it because you can do same game parlays. You can jump in on live action. You can do player props, which is my absolute favorite. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on the fantasy lineup. I find myself yelling at the TV with like I find myself yelling at the red zone channel just to see my guy hit his props, things like that. So it's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. And if you do it with college football, it makes that much more fun as well. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So here's the thing, man. Like, I'm always shocked at what I'm spending, and I'm always shocked at like how easy it is to fix that with just simple budgeting. And Monarch Money can do that, man. And you know, that's the main thing I'm looking for. Like, I want to increase my savings rate. I want to spend less in areas that I'm wasting money, and I want to invest more, to be able to invest more of the places that I need to. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, in the words of the great Yogi Berra, it got late early. But we are Locked On Vandy at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Like, subscribe, follow the show, all the above. And it's never a dull moment in the world of Locked On Vandy these days. So I enjoy the fun. Bring it on, guys. It's great. It's great fun. There's great banter going on back and forth. So keep that going. So talking about the challenge of defending Lenora Sellers, that's always challenging. He's a great quarterback. Never thought differently. But focus inward, all that good stuff. Talked about that mentality. Like, you take care of visualizing yourself and all that good stuff. Like, I think focusing on you is the way to go. But I want to talk about special teams for a minute, and probably literally for a minute because we don't have that much time. But how dangerous is a punt returner? Well, ask Virginia Tech, because in week 1, they kicked it to Vakari Swain. They didn't like the result because they were struggling. Both teams were kind of struggling, but South Carolina was struggling, which was kind of surprising given what they have talent-wise. But they decided that, okay, we're gonna punt it to this guy. And Vakari Swain got back there and was like, hey, I'm gonna make a play. So he catches a punt and makes a spectacular return, and then does it again. And then does it again in South Carolina State. He's had 3 in 2 games taken to the house. How crazy is that? And Martell Height had one last year. He hasn't had a punt return yet for Vanderbilt. He hasn't really fielded many punts, surprisingly. But you have 2 dangerous return guys back there. So that's kind of a hidden factor in this game. That's kind of a hidden key in this game, is like both teams, obviously with Shane Beamer, you have Beamer ball, special teams, like somebody's going to make it. Like, I think one of the biggest differences that nobody's really talking about is the special teams. And to me, South Carolina does have the edge because they have made more plays. Like, I'll take plays made versus plays potentially made. And South Carolina has the plays made. So I think Vanderbilt has some ground to make up in that category. So I think what you have to do is you have to find ways to steal a possession through special teams, whether it's a fake punt, a blocked punt, which you can really steal points more so than anything with that. It's, a blocked field goal, or one of those just situations where you just kind of get lucky and they miss a makeable field goal. Like, those type of situations could really turn the tide in any game. A punt return can blow the game wide open. Like, if South Carolina gets an early punt return for a touchdown, like, this game may slip out of Vanderbilt's control. Like, that is a legitimate factor. And I don't think that will happen, because I think if you have a guy that's returned 3 in 2 games, like, your antennas are going to be up a little bit. You're playing for that a little bit. At least I like to think you hope. At least I like to think you would. But like that's going to be a key factor in this game, in the King game. Who's going to win in the special teams in whatever realm, whatever special teams unit, whether it be a coverage unit or a return unit. What team is going to make a difference in that phase of the game? Is it going to be South Carolina with some punt returns? Is it going to be a blocked punt that gets returned for short field? Is it going to be an onside kick? Is it going to be a kick return for a touchdown like Junior Sherrill had one against Tennessee? Martell Height had a punt return against, I forget who it was against. He had against somebody. That was last year. Forgive my lack of memory there. But you have two great punt returners, Swain, Height, two great punt returners. Swain obviously has the advantage because he has actually produced this season. And Height has the potential. Height has all the ability, but he just hasn't produced anything in the return game just yet. So both guys dangerous, both things special teams wise, and especially the punt return. Those can change the tide of a game. It did against Virginia Tech for South Carolina. They were in danger until that happened. And that kind of ignited them. Lenora Sellers got a little bit of confidence, and he went out there and executed. And they did a good job of finishing that game with a spark from the kicking game. Or special teams, really. So that being said, that's all I got. I went a little bit over time, but that's okay. It's Locked On Vandy. This game's going to be fun. We'll see you back here next time. Probably the next time I see you is going to be a crossover with Chris Marler. So looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. We run it back after about a month, and we'll see how things have changed. And we'll probably talk a little trash between each other, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then we'll get keys to the game, predictions, all that good stuff, SEC picks for the week. And we'll get on out of here and into the weekend. Probably do a nice little live reaction. And win or lose, I'll be out there. So South Carolina fans, if we lose, come on board, heckle me, talk trash. If Vanderbilt wins, South Carolina fans, come on, let me have a little fun with you, talk a little trash. So that being said, anchor down, peace out. See you next time.